Euro Fantasy 2024 is now fully underway, and in today's video we're going to take a look at which teams and which players you should be targeting ahead of match day 2. Now, before we dive into the teams and the players included in today's video, obviously I am filming this in between match day 1. Realistically, it's the only time we're going to have to get these videos out is in between games. So obviously certain teams or certain players that I do include in today's video, perceptions might change on them depending on their performances in match day 1. Already, some obviously have changed based on performances. So I thought where we'd start off with kind of looking at the teams that I think you should be targeting in match day 2. Obviously, a lot of people, myself included, will be playing a chip in match day 3. A lot of people looking at that limitless or wildcard chip for match day 3. So I think realistically most of the game will be just looking at match day 2 and which teams and which players they want to target. So I've kind of broken down into three tiers, So the top tier is the team that I think you could at least have 2 to 3 assets from. Tier 2, maybe 1 to 2 assets, depending again on performances. And then Tier 3, just some cheeky maybe gambles, differentials. Maybe if you're like me, you're on a wild card for match day 2. So that obviously is where you may be looking at, targeting some of these lesser teams to kind of get the most out of using the wild card in that game week. So let's start off with the Tier 1 teams. We do have Belgium and Germany. I think after Germany's impressive opening day performance and Hungary's sluggish kind of performance on Saturday, I definitely think Germany are a team I feel very comfortable tripling up on for going into match day 2. Belgium are the next team as well. They obviously take on Romania, yet to play in match day 1. They play right towards the back end of it. So again, we can't comment on their performance so far, but I still feel even if they don't look the best in their opening game, they'll need to go and win that game against Romania. So again, 2 to 3 assets. They've got a lot of quality in all of the positions in the game as well. So again, definitely a team I feel very comfortable saying right now, go for 2 to 3 assets from. Let's move on to the tier 2s. Obviously, Switzerland played today and looked very impressive. Again, quite a few players standing out from them. So again, could be a couple names that eventually do enter your team. Ukraine as well, they have an okay-ish fixture. Again, we're going to have to wait and see how they perform. Portugal take on Turkey. Now, I've put them in tier 2, but they very realistically could slide into tier 1 based off Turkey's performance and based off Portugal's performance as well. They very easily could just slip into that tier 1 category. Put them in tier 2 for now because we don't have too much information on them, but they very easily, like I said, could slip into that tier 1 and we could be looking at 2 to 3 assets from their side as well. Croatia, I've downgraded them from my original estimations. Originally, I did have them in tier 1, but after losing 3-0 to Spain, I have downgraded them to a tier 2. I wasn't overly impressed with their performance. They did actually win the game on XG. I think they should still go and beat Albania. They did look a little bit toothless. I think they created less than half a goal in XG against Italy. So I would imagine Croatia should be able to keep a clean sheet. I imagine as well they will go and win that game as well. So 1 to 2 assets from Croatia, probably the way to go with that one. Then down the bottom, some other interesting teams. We do have Serbia and we do have Chechnya. Chechnya obviously playing Georgia. Again, we need to wait and see how these two teams get on. Serbia are taking on England in the first game, but then the second game, again, probably one that they need to win if they have any chance of making it out of those groups. So those were the teams that I'm looking to target. Let me know if I've potentially missed any, or there's some teams that I've potentially ranked a little bit too high on this list. Let me know, and let's start going looking at some players. Starting off with the tier 1s, we're going to run through Germany. Obviously, like I said, it was an impressive performance against Scotland. Some very, very good standout performers from them. Obviously, Kai Havertz leading the line with 1 goal and 1 assist. Took the penalty as well, and as you can see, had the highest goal involvement out of any German player last night as well. So, again, I think he very much could be making his way into a lot of people's teams, especially if he's confirmed as the penalty taker as well. I'm still not 100% sure he's going to take every single penalty because Gundogan has been the penalty taker and, he did take quite a big whack before. But again, I do think like Havertz is going to be the #1 penalty taker now. Some good data as well to go with that. 1 goal, 1 assist for him. Germany definitely looked good going forward as well. He did come off. Obviously, that is a little bit of a concern. I think out of all of these players, Gundogan did play the most minutes. But I still think Kai Havertz is a very, very good asset to go and pick up for match day 2, regardless of whatever chip strategy you are on. Musiala, 1 goal, and I think he got an assist. I think I've put that in wrong. He got 1 goal, 1 assist, 3 ball recoveries, and also picked up the Man of the Match award as well. 0.25 expected goal involvement from him, so a massive overachievement for him, and probably something that he's not going to be able to replicate again. But I still think he and Wirtz, both on the left and right hand side, they do have a lot of competition for places. So I think, you know, they have to get their attacking returns within the 60 to 70 minute mark. So that is the slight kind of caveat of these two players. But again, both of these good for ball recoveries as well, both picking up 1 additional point for that one. Both got themselves on the score sheet, and obviously Musiala picking up that Man of the Match award as well. So congratulations to people that went for him. Again, him and Wirtz and Havertz, I all think could be really, really good kind of assets if you've not already got them. Or if you're like me, you're on that wild card for match day 2, could definitely go and pick up some of these players. Ilkay Gundogan owners, I'm in that camp. 7 million. Little bit disappointed that he didn't get the penalty, but as you can see, had the second highest expected goal involvement. Also picked up an extra point for ball recoveries as well. I think we're a little bit unfortunate, aren't we? Obviously, we got the 2 points for him winning the penalty as well. Like I said, it feels like it's one of those where he is playing the majority of the minutes, so I'm very happy to keep him within my side. I know some people might see that as a little bit of kind of a problem with him not having penalties anymore, but for me, he's going to play the large proportion of minutes more than Wirtz and Musiala. He obviously picked up a good amount of kind of data as well to go with his performance, so I do think it is a matter of time before he does open the score sheet or get an assist for his Euro 2024 campaign. And then in terms of defenders, I have gone for Mittelstadt on here for 4 million. He is a bargain, but anyone from that Germany backline would be absolutely immense to go and pick up. But I think for 4 million, he's just a great bargain, isn't he? 0.4 expected goal involvement, more than Musiala and Wirtz as well. 4 ball recoveries, so not the worst, but not the best as well for defenders. But it is that attacking data that I am looking at, and definitely, you know, licking my lips out for a 4 million player. I really, really can't, don't think you can go wrong with that one. So if you've not got any Germany players going into that second match day against Hungary, I think you need to go and get some. That is my personal opinion on that one. But let's move on to the other team that I did have in tier 1. It is Belgium, obviously yet to play in the tournament so far. So obviously this section is going to be a little bit shorter. What I've done is taken everybody's Euro qualifying data. As you can see, Lukaku's was the best with 14 goals, 1 assist, averaging expecting goal involvement of 1.11 per 90, which is pretty immense stuff, to be honest. So good numbers from Romelu Lukaku. Again, let's wait and see how he gets on in the Euro tournament, but he was one of the favourites to go and be top scorer at this tournament. Belgium as well have got a pretty nice and easy group, and if we remember back to 11FI's data before the tournament, Belgium were one of the top teams for predicted goals in the group stage. Now KDB, obviously he's a little bit of an anomaly. There wasn't too much data to kind of work off in terms of qualifiers for Belgium. Only played 1 game, so again the per 90 data wasn't really worth putting on there because it would be massively skewed. Again, for me, he feels like a player that wasn't really getting too much love in terms of the initial drafts, but again, let's wait and see how he operates in the opening group game. Obviously it is going to be, you know, difficult to call at the moment whether or not he's a good asset to go and pick up, but again, if he shines in that opening match day, definitely a player I would be looking to potentially go and bring in. Like me, if you're on that wild card in match day 2, definitely worth a little bit of a gamble. Jeremy Doku was one of the highest point scorers, if you like, in terms of qualifying. In terms of FOTMob rating as well, he was one of the top players. 4 assists for him, averaging 0.53 expected goal involvement per 90, so pretty decent numbers from him. But for me, I don't think he's an option. Again, unless he absolutely goes and smashes match day 1. With him being a forward, I just don't think he's an option. That's just my personal opinion on him. Moving on to Trossard, a player I do like. I think he's averaging a goal every 120 minutes for Belgium. Again, we're going to have to wait and see how he obviously fares in this side. But pretty good stats from him in terms of the qualifying as well. 2 goals, expected goal involvement of 0.56 as well. So again, for 8 million, could be a nice tidy little pickup going into match day 2. And then at the bottom I do have Wout Faes. He is expected to start again for that 4 million price point. I really don't think you can go too wrong. Again though, if there are other defenders that do excel in Belgium's opening game, obviously this table and this data is going to change and players are going to change obviously based on performance. But at the moment, my initial kind of planning and preparation, I currently have Lukaku, Trossard and Faes in my wildcard team for match day 2. But obviously, let's wait and see how Belgium do get on. But obviously, we've got to start making some content. That is why the video is here. I know we're going to have some people in the chat being like, why are you making Euro content already? We do have to kind of start churning it out already and start getting our plans in place and which players and which teams we should be looking to target. And maybe, you know, just looking in terms of a match day 1 perspective as well, kind of looking at which players perform well or just pass the eye test as well, because I think that's a massive thing, especially going into this kind of short form game. You know, games are played over such, you know, kind of short time frames where, you know, sometimes data is not all the be all and end all. It is kind of more a little bit of form and kind of purple patch of players. So I definitely think these are useful players to be looking at for match day 1, and obviously, you know, having the kind of eye test perspective going into match day 2. Moving on to the Swiss. Now, obviously, they had a great start to their Euro 2024 campaign, picking up a 3-1 win over Hungary. And there were some standout performers, some very good performers from their side as well. And we're going to talk about which players I think maybe could be worth taking a little bit of a look at for match day 2. Obviously, they're facing Scotland, who got absolutely obliterated against Germany in the opening game of the tournament. And Switzerland, they very easily could go and pick up their second win of the tournament and comfortably cruise into the next round of the Euros. So let's obviously take a look at some players. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be looking at the top guy, Abishai. I do apologise if I've absolutely butchered that one. I immediately saw that he was playing left wing back in FOTMob. Took a look at the Euro game. He's down as a midfielder. So for me, that one is a no-go. I think if he was a defender, there'd be a lot more kind of avenue for conversation with him playing a left wing back in a 5 at the back system. Very attacking. Obviously picked up a goal and an assist today. But with him not having clean sheets, I just don't think he's worth it at that 5 million range. Having him at left back, yeah, I just don't think he's a player. So probably that one feels like a little bit, if you're going to make that move, feels a little bit knee-jerky and potentially a little bit of a trap in my personal opinion. Granit Xhaka, I thought, had a great game today. He felt like the metronome of that Swiss side. Everything was coming through him. Obviously picked up that man of the match award as well. In terms of ball recoveries, a little bit, you know, disappointing. Only 2 ball recoveries, but he has made it onto this list and he has made it onto my radar as well, because he is a player that I am looking at. It did seem like a lot of the play did come through him, and again, with him picking up those extra 3 points as well for the man of the match performance, I think that could be something for 6 million. Could be maybe worth a little bit of a cheeky punt going into match day 2. Moving on to the next section, it is going to be our 2 defenders. We've obviously got Vidma and we have Akanji. Now, Vidma played around 68 minutes. Again, played in that right wing back position. Okay-ish data, 0.14. Ball recoveries, pretty piss poor. But for 4.5 million, for a player that, you know, has pretty good data from club level this season, he might be worth one to potentially consider. But for me personally, looking at Akanji's stats from today, 11 ball recoveries, which is absolutely incredible, by the way. 11 ball recoveries, that is unreal. He picked up quite a lot of points today. Was very unfortunate, in my personal opinion, not to go and pick up that man of the match award as well. So, again, he's a player that I am currently eyeing up from that Swiss back line. If he can go and get similar numbers and hopefully pick up one of those man of the match awards as well with a Swiss clean sheet against Scotland, that could be a little bit of a feast fest. So Akanji, one of the players I am liking the look of at the moment. And then moving on to the forward, it is going to be Briel and Bolo. Obviously, the man just spawns in for international tournaments, came off the bench, picked up a goal, and he did look very good holding the ball up, bringing other players into play as well. And as you can see, good goal involvement as well, more than anybody else on this list. So obviously he is the key figure for this Swiss side. It is just minutes that are obviously a little bit of a concern for me. He is, if he's fully fit, the Switzerland #1 forward and should be starting in that lineup. But for me, I know some people are going to probably look at him and I'm going to have a little bit of a think about it. But I think for me, he's realistically, if he is going to start the next game, is probably only going to play 60-ish minutes with obviously him coming back from a cruciate ligament injury. So I just don't think it's worth the gamble. I think there's plenty of other high-quality forwards. We'll come on to talk about another forward in a little while as well that I've obviously had my eye on after today's impressive performances. But for me, Breel Bolo, probably one not to go for. I think if he was fully fit, he'd definitely be, higher up on my list of recommendations. But for me, probably an avoid. I could very easily see him go and picking up another attacking return against a weak Scotland side. But for me personally, with him being that slight minutes doubt, maybe he might not even start the next game against Scotland as well. If Switzerland feel that they potentially could coast through that one, get Breel Bolo match fit, up for the game 3, then going into the round of 16 and quarterfinals. If they obviously want to progress in this tournament as well, Breel Bolo is going to be a big player for them. So you do feel like they might just manage his minutes over the course of this group stage. For me, personally, the players that I am looking at are from more the defensive side from this Swiss side and maybe Granit Xhaka in the midfield. But let me know which Switzerland players impressed you in today's game. Moving on to the second Tier 2 side, it is going to be Croatia. Now, originally, like I said, I did have these guys in the Tier 1, but after a disappointing opening day result for them against Spain, a 3-0 loss, but they did go and win this game on XG. Let's not forget that. They definitely did create some opportunities. They had the penalty as well, which, was controversially ruled out, the player infringing, stuff like that. Yeah, it could have been a very different game. Let's just put it that way. Gvardiol had an opportunity as well in the first half to definitely go and get himself a goal. So I do think that game could have gone a different way. And with them playing Albania, I wasn't overly impressed with Albania's performance today. They only created 0.45 XG against Italy. So I still think going for some Croatian assets could be a little bit of a good route for some points in match day 2. So I've highlighted 3 players that I kind of were not even impressed by, kind of just 3 players that I thought might be worth potentially taking a look at. I think watching off the back of that Albania performance, maybe Kramaric might be one to potentially take a look at, but realistically the forwards today, they were a little bit poor, a little bit mid to be honest, so I'm not overly keen on any of them. One player that did kind of impressed me from an eye test perspective was Gvardiol, playing in that left back position, got very far forward, like I said, could have scored, had one big chance missed from him. Pretty good data as well from a left back in terms of 3-0 defeat as well, 0.21. In terms of ball recoveries, nothing really to kind of shout out there, but he seems like the go-to Croatian defender for me if you are looking for potential attacking returns against an Albania side. Obviously, we saw how DeMarco featured today against Albania as well. There's plenty of space down that left-hand side for him to operate in a 4 at the back system as well, so you feel Gvardiol potentially could benefit as well from that one. Then we have Stanisic, one of the other defenders. The only reason I included him in here was because of his high ball recovery rate. Some people, like myself, have potentially considered going for that double Croatian defence if you are on the wild card against Albania. Like I said, they didn't create too much against Italy today, and you do feel if Croatia have any chance of progressing out of that group, they do need a positive result as well. Picked up a few ball recoveries. Again, might be one to potentially consider if we are looking at that double Croatian defence. And then in terms of midfielders, Modric wasn't really at the races. It was kind of like a Gale Platt performance, to be honest, today, wasn't it? Maybe against a lesser side, he might excel and maybe shine. But for me, one player that did stand out, probably the best midfielder of the game, was Magier, however you want to pronounce it. 6.5 million for him. All right, kind of expected goal involvement, decent ball recoveries as well. But like I said, watching that Italy game, you could definitely see that Albania are weak from the wings. Chiesa had a great game, I thought. Very unfortunate not to come away with anything. Like I spoke about, DeMarco was getting plenty of room down that left-hand side as well. So I do feel like these areas could be exploited with that Croatian side as well. So those are my 3 players that I'm recommending. Obviously, there are going to be other ones as well. But let me know, has that 3-0 result potentially put you off going for any Croatian players? Let me know down in the comments section. And finishing up today's video, one player I did want to talk about was Yamal. I've already had some questions on Twitter about him, whether or not he's a good player to go and pick up for match day 2. I thought what I'd do is I'd break it down into a pro versus cons. Obviously, we've got his data down the bottom as well. From an eye test perspective, for me, was really good, wasn't he? It was really great to see him, to be honest. 0.79 expected goal involvement as well. 3 ball recovery, so picked up an extra point there. Also had 1 big chance missed as well. Could have scored, but it was a great save from the Croatian goalkeeper to deny him from getting his debut goal, if you like, in terms of Euros. And he also played more minutes than I was expecting. 86 minutes from him today. I thought with the quality that was on the Spanish bench, he might potentially see, you know, around 60 to 70 minutes. 86, pretty decent, and put in a very good performance. So like I said, pros, eye test, yes. Data, yes. Played plenty of minutes, yes. So plenty of pros going for him. Very good performance. I'm a fan. Definitely one player I'm considering going for in match day 3. But let's talk about some of the cons. Obviously, they're playing Italy next. It's not an easy fixture. I thought Italy were very smooth, very controlled in possession. I think this Spanish side might potentially struggle for them. The only thing I think that goes for Yamal is the fact that DeMarco will be pushing up quite high, so there might be some room where he can potentially get in behind with those direct blistering runs that we saw today. So that's potentially something that might work in his favour, but I do feel like Italy will have a plan to combat him and Williams as well with their directness. But it is a little bit more of a difficult opponent than Croatia. So whoever's going to be realistically fighting for that top spot in the group, you do feel it's probably going to be between Italy and Spain. So I feel this one could be a little bit of a kind of more difficult test, if you like. Then let's move on to the big con for me. And this is the reason that he's putting me off personally going for him. I think he's a great player, but he's down as a forward. I feel if he was down as a midfielder, I think he'd definitely be, you know, worth a little bit of maybe thought this week. But because he's down as a forward, I just don't think there's any reason to bring in a player that's playing against Italy when there's other high-quality forwards with better fixtures. Obviously, you've got Romelu Lukaku, he's got Romania, even Jeremy Doku against Romania, I think for me is probably a little bit more of a better punt than going for Yamal. You've obviously got Havertz, you'll still have Mbappe, you'll still have Kane, you'll have Cristiano Ronaldo against Turkey, you've got the likes of Alexander Mitrovic as well against, is it Slovenia? So there's plenty of high quality forward options. We just spoke about Brill and Bolo as well against Scotland. There are so many quality forward options in the game. I think this is the big problem for me personally with Yamal. It was a great performance from him. Really caught the eye. But because he's down as a forward, I just don't see him making it into my team, and probably not yours as well. I think there are better players with better fixtures coming up in match day 2. So for me, I do think it is probably an avoid, but let me know what you think of it down in the comments section below. I hope you did enjoy today's video, guys. Like I said, there is going to be plenty more content coming your way ahead of match day 2. We're going to get a wildcard draft video out. We're going to get my team selection out. Me and Jake will be live as well for a preview stream on Tuesday night once all the games have finished. And of course, I'll be live for a deadline stream on Wednesday. So if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But thank you very much from me, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in match day 2.